Hey booktubers, welcome to my long haul, and we've got a lot to get through, so I'm going to get started. Not all of the books are that I showed in the short haul I'm going to show again here, just those that I'm going to read the synopsis on. So I wanted to start with the scholarly one, if you will, how novels work, and because some of you may be interested in some of these types of books. This says, drawing on his popular weekly column, The Guardian, John Mullen sets out to answer these questions and to open our eyes to ways of understanding the writer's craft and appreciating and enjoying novels more fully. Prize winners and reading group favorites of recent years are set alongside the classics. Monica Ali, Nick Hornby, Jonathan Safran Foer, and Zadie Smith rub shoulders with Samuel Richardson and Lawrence Stern, Jane Austen and the Brontes, Joseph Conrad, Raymond Chandler, and Virginia Woolf. Through pointed comparisons of their designs and devices, Mullen makes visible the techniques and effects of which we are often only half aware as we read. How novels work makes literary criticism something that all fiction enthusiasts can do. I wanted to just very briefly go over the chapter headings on what he's going to cover in this book. Beginning, the title, prologue, blah, 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 blah. Narrating, people, genre, voices, structure, detail, style, devices, literariness, and the ending. So this looks really, really good. I'm looking forward to reading that. What I would really like to see, hopefully if I can say this briefly, is most of these are going to go over, probably adult novels that are more modern, literary type, what they call literary type authors. I would like to see some books about writing in the young adult genre and some of our very modern authors and what some of these literary critics think about the writing. I have to admit that the young adult as it is today is probably only, maybe 10 years? Maybe a slightly longer than that in its current forms, I guess. And it really has become, as many of you know, I did not read a lot of young adult novels or children's books actually, in the 80s and 90s and that. But I think in this last decade, they have become much more sophisticated. I think the readers, the young adult and teenagers readers, have become more sophisticated and require a higher level. I think many of the books, a lot of ones that I'm reading anyway, appear to be, I think they're very good. Not that I have a great experience with the great authors. I'm working on that, so don't think that I'm like this great, I have some opinion of the great authors. I really don't, but I'm hoping to see that we might see a book soon from a real qualified literary critic. The Map of Time by Felix J. Palma. As I pointed out, beautiful book in my short haul. Beautiful end papers, and I'll read the synopsis on this one because this is a new book that just came out. Set in Victorian London with characters real and imagined, The Map of Time is a page-turner that boasts a triple play of intertwined plots in which a skeptical H.G. Wells is called upon to investigate purported incidents of time travel and to save lives in literary classics, including Dracula and The Time Machine, from being wiped from existence. I have read The Time Machine, by the way. I have not read Dracula yet. What happens if we change history? Felix J. Palma explores this question in The Map of Time, weaving a historical fantasy as imaginative as it is exciting, a story full of love and adventure that transports readers to a haunting setting in Victoria, London, for their own taste of time travel. And by the way, one of the books that I got recently, and I don't know why I'm not seeing it here, was, The First Men. That was H.G. Wells, who wrote The First Men in the Moon. And I'm not going to read the synopsis for 13 Curses because it's the second book in a series. First one is 13 Treasures. The Girl Who Chased the Moon by Sarah Addison Allen. There again, Sarah Addison does have elements of magic in her novels. I kind of compared it to, I think like like The Good Witch's Garden if you've watched the Hallmark movie. In her latest enchanting novel, New York Times bestselling author Sarah Addison Allen invites you to a quirky little southern town with more magic than a full Carolina moon. Here, two very different women discover how to find their place in the world, no matter how out of place they feel. Yeah. Okay, I'll keep going. Emily Benedict came to Mulberry, North Carolina, hoping to solve at least some of the riddles surrounding her mother's life, such as why did, Dulcie Shelby leave her hometown so suddenly? And why did she vow never to return? But the moment Emily enters the house where her mother grew up and meets the grandfather she never knew, a reclusive, real-life gentle giant, she realizes that mysteries aren't solved in Mulberry. They're a way of life. Here are rooms where the wallpaper changes to suit your mood. Unexplained lights skip across the yard at midnight, and a neighbor bakes hope in the form of cakes. And the synopsis goes on. Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. A garden surrounded by a tall fence tucked away behind a small, quiet house in the smallest of towns is an apple tree that is rumored to bear a very special sort of fruit. In this luminous debut novel, Sarah Addison Allen tells the story of that enchanted tree and the extraordinary people who tended it. The Waverleys have always been a curious family, endowed with peculiar gifts that make them outsiders even in their hometown of Boscombe, North Carolina. Even their garden has a reputation, famous for its feisty apple tree that bears prophetic fruit and its edible flowers imbued with special powers. Generations of Waverleys tended this garden. Their history was in the soil, but so were their futures. And the synopsis goes on there too. And the name of the Waverleys in there reminds me of, I want to read someday, Scott, I can't think of his first name, Walter Scott's book, The Waverleys. And he had a series of several novels called the Waverley Novels, which Ivanhoe is one of them. Yeah, so we're talking early 1800 author, but I really do want to get to some Walter Scott. This is the Books of Elsewhere, and I'm going to read the first one to you, the synopsis, and which is The Shadows. This is by Jacqueline West, and this has a little decal edge too on it. I don't know if you can see that there. Interesting. Yeah, the second book does too. And it has kind of cute little end papers, like picture frames. When 11-year-old Olive moves into the crumbling old mansion on Linden Street, she's right to think there's something weird about the place. This is middle grade, by the way. Especially the walls covered in creepy antique paintings. But when she finds a pair of old-fashioned glasses in a dusty drawer, she discovers the most peculiar thing yet. She can travel inside these paintings to elsewhere, a world that's strangely quiet and eerily sinister. Olive soon finds that Elsewhere has secrets to hide, and the most annoying of them is Morton, a small boy with a big temper. As he and Olive form an uneasy alliance, Olive finds herself caught in a plan darker and more dangerous than she could have imagined, confronting a power that she wants to be rid of. Confronting a power that wants to be rid of her by any means necessary. It's up to her to save the house from the shadows before the lights go out for good. So, I think that sounds really interesting. Book 1 and Book 2. Cat Detective, I'm going to refer you over to Deb's channel at Deborah's Book Cafe. I will put a link in the description bar about that, and point her to, she has a review on this book. Puddle Jumpers by Mark Jean and Christopher C. Carlson. This book is, I believe, a few years old. 2008 is the copyright. Ernie Banks, named for the legendary Chicago Cubs shortstop, is a troubled 13-year-old juvenile delinquent, abandoned on the doorstep of the Lakeside Home for Boys when he was 3 years old. Now he's considered a lifer, a permanent ward of the state. His only proof that he once belonged to somebody is a vintage Ernie Banks baseball card, a crystal acorn he wears on a string around his neck, and a strange spiral birthmark on the bottom of his right foot. As a last reprieve before being sent to a juvenile detention facility, Ernie is allowed to spend 3 weeks on a working farm. When Ernie arrives at the home of Russ Frazier, he learns that the widower's baby was kidnapped years before. The single piece of evidence was a red quilt found in a puddle in the nearby woods. Fascinated by the town's famous quilt baby kidnapping, Ernie is determined to solve the case. He teams up with Joey, a local tomboy, to investigate clues that lead them on a dangerous journey into a forbidden world of dark secrets, magic puddles, and the cavernous underground kingdom of the puddle jumpers, 11-inch tall water creatures with whom Ernie has a mysterious connection. And the synopsis going on. Beyonders by Braden Mall. This is the first book in the Fable Haven series. This one has the 3D cover on it. I sure hope you can see that. So, very cool. I liked it. That's why I picked it up. Okay. Jason Walker has often wished his life could be a bit less predictable until a routine day at the zoo ends with Jason transporting from the hippo tank into a strange, imperiled world. Lyrian is full of dangers and challenges unlike any place Jason has ever known. The people live in fear for their malicious wizard emperor Maldor. The brave resistors who once opposed Maldor have been bought off or broken, leaving a realm where fear and suspicion prevail. In his search for a way home, Jason meets Rachel, who was also mysteriously drawn to Lyrian from our world. Jason and Rachel become entangled in a quest to piece together the world of power that can destroy the Emperor, and learn that their best hope to find a way home will be to save this world without heroes. So, it says a Junior Literary Guild selection. So, there is all the books that I'm going to read the synopsis on for my long haul. Thanks for watching.